The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey, coming to you cordless, everybody. It's Wednesday night, February 5th, 2025. It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 a.m. in Singapore, 12 noon in Sydney, Australia, and here where I'm sitting in Northeast Minneapolis, it's 8 p.m. Central Time. I am Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 199, if you're keeping score at home, and so that means that Friday, we're on Monday, Wednesday, Friday now. On Friday, we're doing our 200th episode. So a lot of cool stuff going on. Don't have necessarily a guest per se. Got a bunch of people calling in. So we're just kind of wing that, have a good time. You can call in too. And you can call in tonight. Our guest is Jeff MEYER. He's the CEO and publisher of Conk News. And man, do we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Not only is the Trump administration creating news at a breakneck pace, but the thing I really want to talk to Jeff about is how the news business is getting, well, we'll get into it in a second. So anyway, Jeff MEYER's our guest. The telephone number is on the bottom of the screen. You can call and talk to us. It's 325-CALL-JIM. That's 325-225-5546. And you can also send us a text in real time. That number is 408-458-5088. I get the text here in real time right on the side there. And we get your phone calls in real time. Yeah, this is live. I'm a real person. I'm not AI. Although I have to tell you, we do have AI powering a lot of our new studio now, which is kind of interesting. So, yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but we do. But anyway, I'm real because no AI could have a laugh as goofy and dorky as mine. That's why. All right, we're going to run a commercial here for Conk News. And when we come back, we'll be talking with Jeff MEYER. We'll be back in just a second. Stay tuned, everybody. It's the man. I had me on mute for a second there.
Good evening.
Good evening. All right, so what do you got behind you there?
I got my Chuck Schumer rat. Next time I'm on, it'll be Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell.
Is there a little
Chuck
sign
Schumer,
there?
$81 million net worth. Been in the government his whole life.
Right. That's right. I know. It's what's the stuff that's going on. I just want to get right into it right away. So the stuff with the USAID thing. Now,
yeah.
Okay.
That's how Schumer got $81 million. It comes
right.
back.
it's unbelievable. They're completely laundering money. And everybody, we always knew they were wasting our money, but I don't think anybody ever, imagined it was to this extent. It's like unbelievable, the stuff. And so I can't remember let me check my notes here. Somebody suggested this. So, it's like they got $47,000 for a Cambodian transgender opera and all sorts of crap like that. But somebody actually suggested it. Let me see if I can find this here. The suggestion has been made that those things aren't even real. That they're just using this to siphon money. That all these ridiculous excuses they're not even real. It's just a excuse to send money from one place to another.
Right. We've been in a Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. If you've worked as an American employee for an American company, you've been working in a Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, and now the cat's out of the bag, and people are going to start to understand just how wasteful it is. And again, Doge is not a new government agency. They just renamed one Obama had started back. It was called the Office of Government Technology or something.
Yeah,
right. So it was already there.
Right.
And really, all these guys are doing is going around and collecting the receipts. They're just trying to get an accounting. I mean, like the FBI, they wanted to know every agent that worked on the January 6th case, because it was the most important thing going on in America. 5,000 out of 13,000 FBI people were working on that.
Right.
40%.
Right.
And what did they get? Threw a bunch of Americans in jail for walking into the Capitol.
Yeah.
No police were killed by these guys. The police died days after.
We need to point out here, they claim police died because of this, and it's actually not true. No police died from this. No.
Ashley Babbitt was the only person that died that day, an American that was shot by another American.
Unarmed, and that's the other thing. Not a single person in that crowd of 2,000 people had a firearm on them. How do you have an insurrection without any weapons? That's crazy. Right. Now, do you know this? I've never been able to find this out. There were like 500,000 people on the mall for that rally. It is still easily the largest rally ever done in Washington, D.C. ever. And did they vet people or scan them as they were coming into the mall, with metal detectors? Because I'm always surprised that there were no weapons in that crowd. I just figured they had to go through screening or something. Do you know?
Right. Yeah. I doubt that mall is so massive. I don't know how you would control everyone walking in there. So, but I mean, again, you pull a firearm out and shoot someone, you're the first one to go to jail, and then they figure out what happened. So you got to be ready to face some real punishment.
Jeffrey, my understanding isn't that no one pulled a firearm. There literally no one had one. I mean,
right. No. As far as I know, no one inside there that they arrested was charged with carrying a possession of a firearm in a federal building.
Yeah. So how the hell do you? The problem is people can't hold two ideas in their head at the same time. It was a riot. Okay, it was a riot. Mob psychology. Mobs get out of control. All right, that happened, right? But are you gonna put some guy in jail for 4 years just for walking around the Capitol building doing nothing, picking his nose? Apparently you are. It's terrible.
Right. And again, that it happened, but just the resources. And again, if they can get a dollar amount on this is just more wasted tax dollars that they're going to have. There's going to be an accounting of it. People are sick and tired of what they're doing. All this stuff that's coming out about Fauci and his connection to Dick Cheney back in the early 2000s, and what those two guys figured they could unleash on the citizens of this country.
Yeah. Oh, not to mention the money that USAID actually gave the Wuhan lab, and he was connected to that too. Right. It's like the corruption here runs so deep. I mean, it's and then they have the gall to turn around and said, "We need to raise your taxes." I can't. It just boggles my mind. I don't. It's like
people are paying attention. right? Because I watch Mika every morning, and she's about ready to just give up the ghost. You know, she's on that show, and someone else is talking, and you can hear her sighing in the background and making all sorts of I mean, she is just they're dead. They just haven't turned the lights off in that studio. And the reason is Tucker Carlson interviewed that Matt Taibbi on I don't know, this was a few weeks ago, and Matt Taibbi said, you know, in journalism school, they taught you that you had to tie all your facts together in the story, because you can't assume someone that's reading it understands the back history of what you're explaining. He said, and there was a change in how journalists did that. And so that's why, like, the Russia collusion thing got its, you know, it never came out that, hey, this was a dossier that came through the FBI, supposedly vetted. It's just, it's real. And so the journalists have cooked themselves. And if you're a crappy journalist, you're going to be out of work. I mean, you're going to be writing this on Substack to 3 people. That's just how it's going to be. That's how it's going to sort out.
It's funny you should mention that because this is the thing, you being in the news business, this is a thing I really want to bring up to you, that it turned out that Politico, the left-wing web news website, that Politico.com, they have been getting money from USAID in millions of dollars.
Right.
Million, like $50 million. And here the amazing thing is, and everyone's wondering, no one has any actual proof of the connection. But so Doge went into USAID yesterday, the day before, and today Politico couldn't make payroll.
Yeah. Oops.
And, you know, I worked for you, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, how the hell, like, a lot of these news organizations have 150, 200 people working for them. And we know how much money ads, you know, display ads on the internet bring, and subscriptions, and the odds of people signing up and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, how can they afford to pay for this?
Right.
Like, well, turns out they can't.
Right. They're subsidized like PBS.
Yes, that's right. I know. And now the FCC is going to look into PBS, which of course is a complete boondoggle bullshit. But the thing they're actually going to look into right now is Brandon Carr wants to figure out, he says something I've been bitching about for years. These underwriting announcements they run are basically ads. And by law, you can't run ads on public television. And so, like, what the hell's going on? Well, yeah, that's exactly, I want to know the same thing. They're ads. You know, Toyota puts up a 30-second spot and no, there's not any underwriting going on here. They're advertising, you know?
Right. If they weren't ads, you'd have to go to a separate page to find out who contributed money to the channel, right?
Yeah,
whether it's PBS nationally or your local PBS channel. They couldn't put your logo within that anywhere on that screen, because that's an advertisement. That's why Nike has, you know, so I got Tommy Bahama on my shirt, right? I paid to advertise for them.
Yeah. So it's like this.
It's all coming apart, and it's just glorious that every day.
It is. Trump. And also, basically, what you were talking about too, the public, you know, the liberals are bitching and moaning, and they're protesting in the streets and all this stuff, and the public this time does not really seem to care. They're you know, I don't know if you've seen this in the latest surveys, and these came out like a week ago. Quinnipiac and even CNN, the popularity of the Democratic Party is at an all-time low, 31%. You know,
and they hired a Minnesota loser to try to take him out of the ditch.
And,
Thank God. I mean, we need the spotlight on this state because we have a twit for a governor that the world knows about, and everyone underneath him is just as big a twit.
Yeah, that's right. And they got him, Ken Martin. And
who's the guy right underneath him? That
David Hogg. It's like a 25-year-old kid who's literally never had a job in his entire life. Literally, that didn't even work at McDonald's or Burger King.
No,
you know?
That's no understanding of how may I help you.
No, but he says they're going to win. Yeah, it's just like Chuck Schumer's. You know, we're going to win. We're going to win. Yeah, what? What are you going to win? You lost once already here. You know, it's like.
right.
badly.
And if the money dries up, and I don't so there was an article I was reading that someone said Trump sent their MOU, their memorandum of understanding, about the transition, that they wouldn't be using the GSA services, that they would fund everything on their own. Which is why they my understanding from this article is that's why they hunkered down in Mar-a-Lago. There were no leaks. No one really knows the whole plan.
Right.
And so they didn't go through the normal channels where they ask the GSA to help with planning and vetting and all that stuff. They paid for that out of their pocket, which has thrown, that was the first wrench. Like they've got no idea what the plan is because it isn't leaked.
Right.
And now that it's moving fast, which they don't do anyways, just go down and get your license tabs at the DMV. That's as fast as the Democrats respond to things.
Right.
Take a number. What? There's 50 people in front of me to spend $100 for their car. But that's the beauty of this. As it unwinds, and Trump has already said we should have zero income tax. Now, is he bluffing? Did he just throw that card out? Like, hey, we should develop Gaza and have the U.S. just take over and redevelop that thing, and everyone starts their hair on fire. And it's like, well, how about something different?
Yeah. Well,
that's a disruptor. That's
right.
what disruptors do.
And the public obviously voted for disruption. Right.
Yes.
And disruption's happening, and the majority of the public just seems to be fine with it. There's riots in the streets, and Chuck Schumer's pounding on a podium, and all these people are so angry, and yet the majority of the public seems to be cool with this. And I'm happy as hell about that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There was a book written back in the late 90s, early 2000s called by Spencer Johnson, called "Who Moved My Cheese?"
Oh yeah, right. I remember that.
It's about four mice in a maze, and just talking about the things you think are going to happen in life. It's going to get shuffled around on you, and the sooner you come to terms with change is inevitable. I just have to figure out how to handle it. I don't have to like it, but I do have to handle it. I can either do a Schumer, pick up a can of Modelo or an avocado. I mean, that's so 80s to do that kind of shit. It's like having Susan Sarandon, sitting testifying before some committee. It's like, what does she know? She's an actress.
Yeah.
But oh no, the media pumped her up, and so you should listen to her because she played someone.
Yeah.
That stuff. I mean, if you're going back to that, and you got the Rocket Man running Doge, you're screwed. You can call him dumb AOC. Ilhan Omar, a brain surgeon, calling Elon Musk dumb.
Isn't that unbelievable? The guy launches rockets to Mars, and AOC said he's stupid.
And catches them.
Yeah.
The government just lets them drop in the ocean,
You're right. That's right.
But that's the difference. He understands the value and energy to put that thing up in the air. Why not catch it or try to?
Right.
Then when they proved they could, it's like, well, that was a good idea.
They caught it on the very first try. That's what really amazes me. I mean,
you watch that thing coming in, it's like, oh shit, that thing's gonna miss the arms.
I know. I'm watching. I thought, holy shit, it worked. It's like, you and I have been involved in tech. There's so much crap that happens that doesn't work. Like, you have to do it 17 times before you get it to work.
Yeah, Billy's walking to get a cup of coffee and kicks the cord out. Oh shit, the monitor's down. Just that kind of stupid stuff.
That's right.
We're humans.
Oh my God.
And so we just let them continue just to unpeel, unpeel the onion. And again, the guy from the FBI gave the employee numbers in reference to who worked on the J6. Great. They don't need all their names on there. That's totally understandable.
Yeah.
But you do need an accounting of what kind of resources did they take from their normal job and transfer to this witch hunt. I mean, that's what it was. It was a witch hunt.
It was.
I mean, Pete Hegseth, a month ago we were on and everyone's wringing their hands that he isn't going to make it. He's already there and he's working.
Yeah.
Tom Holman's delivering. Kristi Noem is delivering. I've been a Tulsi supporter from the day she said she was running, and she's going to get in there.
You go back a long way. Well, you stop and think about this, and that is, I think that the primary reason RFK and Tulsi get so much crap is because they're former Democrats.
Yeah, right.
That's the reason. They're really being, as far as I can tell, the only single person now who might not get through is the person, I can never remember her name, the person nominated for Secretary of Labor that our friend Jennifer Oliver O'Connell was talking about, because she's basically a rhino. And it looks like people are finding that out. And it looks like, I'm under the impression the Trump campaigns administration came to the conclusion they made a mistake here. I don't know if she's going to get through. As far as I can tell, everybody else is, including RFK. I think he's going to get through.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to delay cash because they think that, that's the one thing they think the Democrats can show to their voters. Like, we really fought to keep Kash Patel out. And if Cash gets in there, he's going to do his job. And these are smart people that are sick and tired of watching this waste, watching people just trying to have a normal life being screwed with. And that's what you want on your side.
You're a businessman and you've been involved in some big time budgets. Do you think, all right, and I think you and I agree on this, I've contended for years that at least 50% of all taxes are completely wasted.
Yeah, it's being proven already. Yes.
Right. It's being proven. The
Treasury had a policy that if they received a bill, they just paid it. Mm-hmm. There was no discretion to, is it going to the right person? Is that person a terrorist and not, they got a bill, they printed the check.
Right.
And Doge is saying there could be up to $700 billion there that they could wring out of there just in fraud and waste.
Yeah.
That's the same dollar amount that comes into the Treasury from the top 1% from their income taxes.
Yeah.
$700 billion.
Those people that don't pay their fair share, those people. Yeah, right.
And those are people that are going to be pissed it got wasted because they don't waste money. That's why they have billions.
That's right.
They don't waste a dime.
But my question to you is, okay, so now I just did some reading about this. The income tax in the United States federally started, I think, in 1904 or something like that, or 5, and it was originally 1%. And in 1950, 45 years later, it was 93%. Was the maximum thing. But the point was that the government got by for about 150 years with no income tax. Do you think we could do that again? Do you think that's possible?
Because they use tariffs, right? They use tariffs and duties.
Well, they use fees, right? They were all sorts of stuff like that, right? Yeah, but there's no actual income tax, And
you should, as a taxpayer, you should always want to be charged for what you use, right? If you're not, and again, the fire department, the police department, it's hard to measure that stuff on how much you consume or don't consume, right? So that's just kind of, everyone needs to pay X dollars to keep that stuff running.
Also, that's local, and I don't think anybody argues about that.
Correct.
Right.
The only other thing you want is if you buy a yacht, you pay the tax on the yacht.
Yeah.
Right? That's some kind of transaction tax. I don't like sales and use tax because they've bastardized it to the point where there's reams of paper. If you use a drill bit in your shop, you should pay sales tax or use tax on it. If you take it out and do something on a job site, you don't need sales or use tax on it. Well, that's just more Mickey mousing around that you either pay it or you don't.
Uh-huh.
But you want consumer type taxes, right?
Yeah.
You want to pay for what you're doing.
Right.
And then justify, the government's got to say, the state of Minnesota thinks they need like $2 billion a year to run a state of 6 million people. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't at all.
Because then there's all, to your point, there's all the local taxes and county taxes. It's like, well, where's all this money going?
That's the question. That's a $64 trillion question. And if I'm right, constitutionally, the only thing the Constitution says the federal government has to pay for is the military. I think there's
Right.
no other thing. And so, can you imagine these people here? We finally we have people who are trying to rein the federal government in, and people are bitching about it. I just find this hilarious, absolutely
Yeah.
hilarious.
Well, they're all people that never have had to collect the shit for them and figure out their rules.
Right.
So,
You're talking about
and
hundreds of thousands of people on the dole, basically. Or basically on the grift. There's 4 million non-military employees of the federal government. 4 million. I've said, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, I honestly think you could run the federal government with only 5% of them. With 250,000 people, I think you could run the federal government effectively. I don't think there'd be any change in services at all. Like I said, I'm not talking about military. I'm not talking about military. I'm talking about the non-military part of it.
Well, and again, you slash $1 million this year, you slash $1 million next year, you slash $1 million the following year, and then as things perk up that need attention, you go, oh, we need 3 more people to handle that. We don't need 3,000.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Right. But you go pick because again, you could miss, you could be wrong. That happens all the time. I mean, think when Musk bought Twitter, he was flying home. It was Christmas or something. After being there, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't unplug any of these servers. We need them all." He's flying home. He says, "Turn this thing around. Let's go in there and just start unplugging stuff."
Yeah.
They just started it. Didn't crash anything. Just confirming again, you can do that stuff. And yep, you might make a wrong move. But they just keep saying people are going to starve because USAID is shut off. It's like, well, no, if you read the fine print, none of that got cut off.
That's right. And even so, I don't even believe that. I personally think that's bullshit.
Well, that money never got to. If they were supposed to get $1, they got a dime.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, if you're worried about those dimes, you got 81 million. You can bring a whole bunch of rolls of dimes and solve these people's problems.
My mother at 100 years old, plays dime bingo at the assisted care facility. So she busted her pelvis a couple days ago.
No.
She's going to be okay, but it's like a pain in the ass. But my sister, I'm not on Facebook, but my sister says that every single picture from the assisted care facility on Facebook has my mother's in it because she's involved in every damn social thing there. So she gets dimes. We give her dimes for bingo, Jeffrey.
Yeah, perfect.
Hey, speaking of paying for stuff, so that reminds me of the thing about just like Gaza and Hamas about like people are saying we don't give enough, or Israel doesn't supply enough humanitarian aid to Gaza and all that crap. So of course Trump comes out and says, well, Americans, we're going to seize Gaza, we're going to take it. And our friend David Strawn wrote a really interesting article today. It's something I personally totally agree with. I don't want to run this by you. And his thing is, he says, this isn't going to work because you don't understand. He says, he's talking to the public. He says, nobody wants the Palestinians. Nobody wants them. And he's right. It's never talked about, but you just by action, you can tell the Lebanese don't want them there. The Egyptians don't want them because this entire little race of people, their entire reason for existence is killing Jews. And he's absolutely right. That's all people talk about the 2-state solution. I used to buy that years ago when I was a good liberal. It won't work because these people are nuts.
And that this isn't like a test of who wants them after 50 years of existence. This is their history.
Yes, right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
This is their existence has been, you got to put them in a place and put a wall around them.
Right. That's right.
You got to build everything because they don't know how to do shit other than think about killing Jews.
That's right.
So, I mean, you couldn't say to the Palestinians, hey, we're going to take all of our old heavy-duty equipment here in the States and we're going to bring it over there on some barges, and you guys can use it to rebuild your city. They'd go, what?
Yeah. They would. You're not exaggerating here. They wouldn't know what to do.
Israel bombing that city bombed all their wealth. They built everything.
Yes.
They destroyed their own homes. They had squatters in there, but they ruined their own house.
It's hilarious actually. But Strom's got a point, and that is the problem. The reason the U.S. can't seize Gaza, or anybody couldn't, is because Trump's talking about replacing or moving the Palestinians. No, where would you move them to? Nobody wants them, and he's absolutely right.
Well, and I think that's why he said that, right?
Yeah.
He said, "Why would you want to live there? It's hell."
Yeah, it's a shithole. It is.
And he says the only reason they want to go back there is that's the only place they're wanted.
That's right.
And I think that's what people have to start to hear. What? Why would they only want? Why wouldn't they want that to be developed into resorts and own them or work at them
yeah,
because they don't know how to do anything.
That's
right. A truck pulls in with food, they take it. Hamas says you get a cupful, you get a pailful.
We take the rest.
You got it. Yeah. And you come and beg for more, and we'll have you put this suicide vest on and try to get on a bus in Tel Aviv.
Everyone talks about the poor Palestinians, but all the surveys done in the last 18 months since the October war in 23, 76, over 3/4 of the Palestinians say they support the Hamas government. 3/4 of them. And the Hamas, and Hamas is freaking nuts,
Right.
So right. I don't know. It's
just, it's amazing how when they planned these tariffs, right, between Canada and Mexico for February 1st, obviously they knew that was going to be on a weekend. So they were going to get a measure of what the stock market was going to do.
Yeah.
And it was so funny to watch Mika and Joe on that Monday morning just saying the economy is going to get crushed, all this stuff. The tariffs are in place, all this stuff. And first of all, the stuff on your shelf isn't tariffed. The stuff in a truck isn't tariffed. It's already in the system.
Right.
It would take the next order for this stuff to kick in. And by noon that day, and can't you just see Trump watching that with Bassett saying, "Oh, shit, this thing's kind of overreacting. I think I'm going to get on the phone." Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had every card in the deck. It wasn't like he played them all. He played one. We're going to impose the tariffs. I have 51 left.
Nobody seems to understand this. I mean, I did a whole show about this. I mean, can't you understand about a negotiating position? I mean, it's like, none of the shit that Trump talks about ever actually really happens, Right. And also, Jeffrey, tell me if you agree with me on this. I think now he's pretty much proven he's working 4 steps ahead of everybody else. It's 4D. Yes. They're playing 4D chess here, and and the damn media, they're just wringing their hands. Oh my God, he's going to destroy the economy. Well, it only took them 15 hours to cave. It took, Mexico and Canada. It wasn't even a whole day. It's just like, shit. I mean, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah. And again, Trudeau is like Joe Biden. He's quit, but he's still in there.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, it's amazing to watch this, and the guy's pace is crazy. I mean, just the way they're playing these every day at 3 p.m, he signs a few more executive orders.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, everyone knows what they are. And so he just likes the pomp and circumstance and the circus show.
Yeah.
And who can argue with, you don't want boys playing girls in sports. Now, when you're 5 and 6, that's fine. And when Billy loses his shit and tries to knock a girl over, everyone says, "Billy, get off the field."
Yeah, right.
And Billy listens. But now if Billy's 12 or 15
or 20,
he's going to hurt someone.
Yeah, no shit.
And then if you're an adult, you're going to have to engage him. He might hurt you. Right?
Yes.
And so we want Joey and Billy on the same field so they can pummel each other and leave the girls on their field, and life's good. It's just not that complicated.
No, it isn't. It is the return of common sense. It really is. I just find it hilarious that when Biden first took office, they were bragging about the fact, well, the adults are back in charge. No, they weren't. They were just all high school kids. It was a high school student council. I mean, in retrospect, these people could not have been more incompetent. That's or I won't even say that, Jeffrey. If they were ideologically driven, but they couldn't even do what they wanted to do, and what they wanted to do was bad enough. They couldn't even accomplish that. They couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, and that was to me, that was the culmination of Obama's really bad ideas and him getting another 4 years to try to implement them.
Yeah, right.
He just doesn't know how it works.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't understand how the cogs are put together and how they run and they mesh and things move forward. Even as ugly as it is, he has no clue. He got a whole bunch of money from Netflix, and where the hell is his wife?
Well, I don't know. There's rumors they aren't getting along. I have no idea. I don't like to, that's not my purview.
But that's his whole thing. They were this power team.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
that only lasts. So ask Tom Brady and his wife.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods and his wife. There's a certain amount that you can tolerate, and then the shit hits the fan because it's a marriage.
And I can't speak for Tiger Woods, but I'm under the impression with Brady, it was truly his career that got in the way of their marriage. He wanted to keep on playing football, and she apparently, when they first got married, he told her he'd only play for a certain number of years, and he busted that promise. I guess it really pissed her off. And I said, well, I don't know, shit happens, but it's like, it's sad, but it's hard to, I don't know. I think maybe it's because I'm a dorky man. It's hard to blame somebody if they're, want to keep working. It's not like you're out cheating or drinking or anything like that, all the terrible things husbands can do. But, it's like, I don't know. It's like, I understand, if you keep working, you're taking time away from your family, and maybe that's important. But on the level of shit that you could do to piss off your wife, I don't know. That's kind of like low on the totem pole, especially when you're bringing home like $90 million a year. I mean, I bet you like the money.
She had her own. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
Equal.
You're right about that. That's right. I know.
So he couldn't dazzle her with his bullshit. Like, look at this check. She'd whip out one and say, I never got tackled. Look at this one. I don't get concussed walking down the runway. So who do you think this weekend? Your Andy Reid Chiefs or the Dirty Birds out of Philadelphia?
Okay, here's the deal. I don't want to make a prediction because normally I'd pick the Chiefs, but the problem is I think there's some people disagree with me in this. I think there's real crap going on behind the scenes at the NFL. It seems like the NFL really wants the Chiefs to win because of the Taylor Swift thing, and also because of Mahomes, and nobody's ever done it 3 times in a row and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know if the Eagles are actually getting a fair shake. I actually don't know. What do you think? It sure
doesn't look like that has happened at all this year to any team that played the Chiefs.
No. Now, Warren Sharp, the guy who does the betting analysis, for the NFL, he said that he concluded that I can't remember how far back he went, in all the postseason games the Chiefs have played in at least the last 3 years, if not longer, they have never gotten more penalties than the opposing team ever in any one of those games. And he said statistically that's almost impossible.
Sure.
So, and you and I, we're both big on statistics. I'm big on the numbers. You gotta, and he's right. That's almost impossible. So you have to wonder, like, what the fuck's going on?
Right. Right. I mean, and it isn't the NBA where if they shank a shot, 30 seconds later they're going to get another one.
Yeah. Right.
Football, it can take 8 minutes to go up and down the field, and
that's right. And also, I know the rules of basketball because I used to announce basketball. I read the rules. I look at LeBron, and I just saw this on ESPN last night. It's like he's taking like 15 steps to the basket. I mean, no, man, that's traveling, but he's not going to get called. You're traveling, man. It's like grab the ball and just run. It's like,
right. Right. Let me get close.
Oh man. Okay, I gotta ask you about this because you're the business guy. So there are people who are now. This is Ray Dalio, and he's the founder of that giant hedge fund. I can't remember the name of it, but he's saying that basically the economy of America is heading toward a heart attack. That's why he approved, because of the debt. So, I mean, what do you have any thoughts on this at all? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I obviously, if you're accumulating that kind of debt and you're wasting it, like Doja is finding, you got to do something quickly. I mean, and the pause of spending 90 days, everyone ripping their hair out on that. It's like, hey, it's 90 days. If we've been doing this for 50 years, what's 90 days to get an idea of the number?
yeah, really.
I mean, if you can't get your arms around it, and you start flailing around trying to do stuff, you're going to do more damage than good. And so,
well, doesn't this just point to the fact they're guilty? I mean, you're right. It's so it's so reasonable. You know, you've been doing it for like 50 fucking years, and then you want 90 days. I mean, it's like, that's not that big a deal.
No, I mean, they could take 900.
Yeah.
If they said that's what it's going to take. They said 90.
Yeah.
And what did they say? On day 87, we're going to bring the American public these numbers so you can understand waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't wait 90 days or 87, it's less than that now, you deserve to get screwed every time you turn around. You should pay 80% to them. But for us that don't want to, which is the majority that voted for Trump, the change agent, you're going to wait, and we're going to wait patiently and laugh as they tear their hair out and say, oh my God, he crashed the economy because of a couple of tariffs with Mexico and Canada. Gas is already up there. Like, it could go up another dime.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Biden never got it to go down 2 cents.
Right.
So up a dime, yep, that hurts. But what if on the other side of it comes down $1.50?
And
90 days.
You just stumbled on something here too, and that is the fact that, you know, people are talking about all of these if these tariffs go through, my avocado is going to cost more and all this sort of crap. But that's like, it's specific and temporary. Biden's administration spent $1 zillion that didn't exist, that they had to print, and then there was inflation, which is almost impossible to get rid of once you have it. I mean, that's the thing is, then people say, well, it's just temporary. Well, no, it isn't. I mean, this, you know,
they tried to sell that, right?
Right.
It's transitory. No,
transitory. No,
it's a tattoo.
No,
it's not a Waypon tattoo. It's an inked tattoo.
And anybody who knew anything about economics knew this was going to happen. I mean, you know, millions of people predicted this, and like, well, and it happened. And so now Trump is in the unenviable position about the fact that he said he's going to get prices down, mostly by getting the energy prices down, and that should work. But the fact is, it's going to be, once you get inflation, it's going to be really, really hard to get those household items down to the levels they were pre-Biden. It's going to be very difficult.
And when we think of inflation raising all things, it has raised wages as well. And so employers can't say to employees, hey, gas is down to $1.50. I got to take your wages down $3.
Right.
So the numbers we're at are going to have to hold or come down slightly, and then your earning power will go up because you'll be able to make more, and that inflation in the pricing won't go up. But it's going to be pretty impossible to say you got to take a pay cut because prices are coming down. This is kind of the new norm, and we got to go get bigger from here, which means you have more money in your pocket.
Right.
I mean, that's why it's not transitory.
Yeah.
This number sticks, and then you got to move forward from it.
Right. And that was actually my point. So thank you for explaining that better than I did, because I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, that's the thing that's hard for everyone to get their mind around, is I want things to come down. Well, if things come down, all things have to come down. Yeah. Right? Because you're gonna, you're going to have to take a pay cut if everything's going down 20%. You got to take a 20% pay cut to make everything equal, or you're just building up another problem on the backside of it.
Right.
So, and again, the biggest thing they can do is get the interest rate to come down. Because if money doesn't cost as much, then you're going to have more in your pocket, right? So your wages will get you more purchasing power.
Right. Right. And so all the spending, there's some this morning on Fox and Friends, my girlfriend there, Ainsley Earhart.
She's getting married.
Yeah, I know. He proposed.
She's got no taste.
Oh my God. I guess he's a nice guy. I don't know.
He's a skipped record.
Yeah, well, I think he makes like $45 million a year. So it's
he's on the air for 17 hours a day.
That's right. I know. He's working, and he's been doing it forever.
Right.
People thought Rush Limbaugh, but Sean Hannity's the only person who ever cracked 700 stations. He's on 700 stations. Unbelievable. So anyway, this professor from Columbia was on Fox and Friends this morning, and he's talking about the fact that he said that the way the college system is set up, he said the reason that anti-Semitism is so rampant is because basically the people in colleges who are on the committees that hire professors are other professors, and so they make certain all those other professors think the same way they do, and it's just a self-perpetuating system. He says it's going to be almost impossible to get rid of this. And yeah, they hate Jews. It's like this is the whole thing about we know the whole what's her name oh God. Anyway, about the fact that it's like, no, we don't hate Jews, we hate the Jewish government, we hate the Israeli government. No, they hate Jews. They hate. Right. And did you ever think this would ever happen in our lifetime? I mean, we went through the war, we saw the Holocaust, and now there's a bunch of people in America who hate Jews for no. Right. It's just fucking.
And they're paying for that education in the colleges.
That's exactly my point. Why is the federal government giving any college any money?
Right.
So, I'm starting to look at it as like it's NPR. There's no reason to do this,
Well, and in the end, do you need a bachelor of some stupid shit to get a job? No, You need to go show them your work ethic, and they'll tell you what you should learn.
Well, you
should know,
Jeffrey. There's another thing too, and that is it's if you put in the time right now, it's on almost any colleges in America, you're virtually guaranteed to get a bachelor's degree. It has nothing to do with your grades or your effort. If you literally just show up and put in the time, you're going to get the degree. And doesn't that make the degree pretty much worthless?
Well, that's proven when they go try to find a job.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what specialties do you have? I mean, what makes you unique? I marched at the Gaza rally. You know? I mean, yeah. I got out of bed early that day. Oh, great. So you plan on you being late all the time. Oh, you mean I got to come into work? I can't work from home?
No, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, again.
Oh, man.
People in this country that think they can't make their own trail it just amazes me. This is what the country was built on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Look at Musk. He got some formal education, and then
I was going to say that story you told earlier. I never had a chance to kind of get this in, but about the fact that they were trying to pull over on Musk, like at Twitter, what the servers were doing. That I call that voodoo technology. You can pull that on executives normally because they don't know shit about how anything works. But right. You just tried to pull that off on a guy who was a computer programmer. That's bullshit. I mean, really, what do you do? What are you doing?
First of all, it's a guy, right? So he's taken the back off the computer and pulled shit out and stuck it back in to see what it would do while it's plugged in, because that's how stupid men are, right? Oh shit, that thing didn't break.
That's right.
Doesn't need all those memory cards in there at the same time. Oh shit, that gave me a shock. But again, And that's really the lesson here is the system thinks they can just give you, spoon feed you that ended.
Yeah.
And it ended
Right.
because the media has been their mouthpiece who never questioned anything. And so they just regurgitated it. And now no one's taken that. You can puke all you want. No one cares. DEI is dead. Don't have a pronoun on your email because you're going to get ridiculed.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't make the product you're telling me about any more valuable because you're she, he, or whatever the fuck those things are. Just give me the best price. Tell me when you can get it to me. And life will be good. And that's what business is all about.
Yeah, unless you're doing business with the government and then you just get money.
Yeah. I mean, this treasury thing, I think, is going to be, and they make it sound like they're in there lifting up people getting their Social Security. Elon Musk doesn't care about the money. And that's for sure. What he told everyone that's in Doge is, you don't want to embarrass me.
Yeah.
Because there's a list of people, I'll send you that have done that, and you don't want to be on that list because they're starving.
Right.
You can't say I worked for Elon Musk. Well, why'd you leave? He made me because of what? He only makes you go because you've been dishonest.
Yeah.
Unproductive.
Well, when you're on the top of the heap like that and are worth billions of dollars, I think you kind of have to do that because I think people attempting to take advantage of you is a regular thing. So,
right.
Well, I guess we've solved all the world's problems in 50 minutes.
And what we didn't, Trump will get tomorrow. His 16th day in office.
Right, because he doesn't
16.
sleep. Yeah. I can't keep up with him. I can't. It's like,
Yep.
I mean, he's only 9 years older than me. And I thought about this. I think maybe I could do that when I was like 35 or 40. Maybe I could run that way. I kind of did, I suppose, if I look back now. But now, no.
Yeah, he just never slowed down.
No, he never did.
But it's so great to watch these pressers where that Carolyn Levitt comes in there and all these idiots scream at the top of their lungs. Now, when Biden was in there, no one said shit.
No, that's right.
I mean, it was quiet. It was like a church service.
They weren't going to get shit. That's why they didn't
say
shit.
He would get his card up and say, Joey, what's your question over there?
Yeah, right.
And everyone would just go, oh, I wonder if my name's on the card. Well, duh. They already told everyone who's going to get the questions. Here's what you read to them. What a fraud that whole administration was. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And now he's got this, I don't know how he's going to make money, but whatever. It's just a whole grift system. He'll be on Netflix too with something, and it's like they'll pay him on. I heard he's going to do the Charmin commercials and replace the Bears.
Okay, all right, Jeffrey. I tell you what, we'll leave it with that. But I'm gonna put your website on the screen here. Here's the front page of Conk News, and it's flipped over since the last.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, right, and that's right. Every 3 hours it changes. So yeah, it flipped over since the last time we put it up at the beginning of the show. So anyway, yeah.
Conk.news. Check it out.
This is your thing, man. Yeah, completely free. Don't have to register or sign up or anything.
No ads, no nothing. All news.
Yeah. You were doing a service for the world, the community, sir. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, man. We'll see you in a couple weeks or something.
Yeah. Be well. The snow is here.
You take care. Yeah. It's cold as F outside. Yeah. I know.
Joe Biden for Charmin.
Yeah, and by the way, let's say goodbye to your Chuck Schumer rat too.
See you, Chucky. Mitch McConnell will be there tomorrow. I got a snake. Or next time I'm on.
Okay. All right. We'll see you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Good to see you.
That's Jeffrey MEYER. He's the CEO and publisher of Conk News at Conk.news. Yeah, so we did a little chat there instead of running a second commercial. How about that? We got our crap together. Okay, so there's one thing I want to talk about. I got some UFO news for you, a couple things before we leave tonight. So the deal is, and I teased this on our show description this evening. I know this is kind of unbelievable because you never think it, but apparently there are people saying that Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook and Meta, of all people, and founder of it, might actually have proof that extraterrestrial intelligent life exists. So here, follow me on this. I'm trying to find the name of this organization. He started I have it here somewhere. Hold on. He started what is essentially a competitor to the SETI project, which was, search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And it's called Better. What's it called? It's called Breakthrough Listen. That's what it's called. And supposedly, this has been floating. Well, actually, they admitted this originally, and then they walked it back. That Breakthrough Listen said they found a signal coming from Proxima Centauri, which is the closest star to our solar system at 4.2 light years away. And it was discovered 2 or 3 years ago that there is a solar system around Proxima Centauri, and there are planets there. And they say they found a signal, an electronic signal coming from one of those planets. Now, the other thing that's been rumored, well, first of all, they announced that, and then they walked it back. Then they said, no, we accidentally got a signal off a satellite that was going around Earth. There's a rumor going around that the James Webb telescope, the big honking telescope that took the place of the Hubble telescope that's orbiting Earth, that they have now been able to tune in on this planet, and they said there are obviously city lights on it. And also, previously from spectral analysis, they thought this particular planet, I can't remember which one it is, B or something like that might be conducive to life. That was already established too. And now what's been floating around is that Breakthrough Listen, along with possibly the federal government, is keeping this quiet because they don't want to they basically want to coordinate a release of this information, supposedly. But so yeah, there's supposedly cities on this planet. Now, I'm not advocating for this either way. I'm waiting to see. But it makes sense. Like I said, it was been verified previously that that planet might be conducive to life. That was already independently verified before other stuff came out. So, that's Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg did that. Do you believe it? No. Well, we'll find out. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe we'll just wait for the time thing. I mean, this is going to get really amazing here because now there's more and more people in the military coming out and saying. There's this guy that was named Jake Barber, who was on with Ross Coulthard on News Nation, and he said that his job was to pick up crashed extraterrestrial spacecraft with a helicopter and tow them places. There are more and more people coming out saying, basically confirming his story, and they're saying that they've worked on that program too. And one is named. Hold on, let me look here. One of these guys is named Don Paul Bales. Don Bales is his name. He's a 25-year veteran with the military, and he has supported Jake Barber's claims. Matter of fact, if I'm right, I think I gotta look this up. Hold on, hold on a second. Okay, this guy's claiming that. Shit. Hold on. Like I'm running a computer here. This guy is claiming that he has even had run-ins with actual extraterrestrials. He's also claiming that some of these, what they've learned through this crashed retrieval program, is that some of these craft are apparently more or less like living organisms. And there's people who've been abducted have said the same thing. They said, well, the first thing is they've claimed is that these crafts they're real in the sense that they're metal, flying machines, but they basically are driven by the consciousness of the pilot. Now, we already embarking on some of this stuff, even with our military flyers, our stupid airplanes that fly through the air by being pushed through the air. But so already now there are some of these more sophisticated aircraft, and some of them are being re-engineered to do this, so that literally it's a brain to aircraft interface. So the pilot literally just thinks about what they want to do, and the plane does it. I know that sounds weird, but that's already happening here on planet Earth, and that's Elon Musk. Speaking of him, he has his company Neuralink, and they've also been working on a brain to computer interface. But everyone seems to think that's new. It isn't. This has been going on now for about 10 years. The other people have actually, and I know that the Air Force is actually playing with this too. I think they've already. I don't know if they're using it in combat, but I think they've already done this, where pilots can actually control the plane just by thinking about what they want to do. And the people who have been abducted have said that aliens have explained to them. I read a book about this, and who wrote the book? Grant Cameron wrote the book. He is the former, or maybe even current, executive director worldwide of MUFON, and the book has 50 stories in it of people who said that they have interfaced or driven these spacecraft, that they were invited by the aliens to try to drive the spacecraft, because almost all the stories were the same. You either put your hand on a plate or stuck your fingers in a device, and you melded with the spacecraft. And they said the spacecraft is more or less conscious, but it is not alive. And one of the abductees said the alien explained that to him. He said, because he said, is the spacecraft alive? And the guy said, well, yes, but not in the way you and I are. It's not real life, but it is conscious, or it can read your consciousness. Seriously, who the hell knows? We can't understand this stuff. We don't know crap, we don't. I've been saying that for years and years. There are people who say, oh, we can't fly faster than the speed of light. Oh, bullshit. Now, there's some actual proof of that. Theoretically, we already know how to fly faster than the speed of light. We can't it takes a ridiculous amount of energy to do it. We can't muster the energy, but we already know how to do. Theoretically, we know how to do that. But so, at any rate, this guy was saying that some of these crafts apparently are more or less living organisms, and based on what I've read, I buy that. I do, based on what I've heard. So yeah, things are happening. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to get disclosure in the next. I mean, I heard some people say that in the next 90 days, Trump is going to talk about the fact that aliens are real. I don't know. As I was talking to Jeff, and Jeff totally agrees with me on this, about the fact that it's pretty obvious now. People used to make fun of Trump, but it is pretty obvious he's working 4 steps ahead of everybody else. It is. So yeah. Oh my God, these tariffs. Oh, it's going to be terrible. Well, the tariffs never happened. Geez, I wonder why. The man will threaten them, and if you don't want to get in bed with us, we'll do them. Yeah. The thing about that is that if you're going to threaten tariffs to get cooperation, and you don't get the cooperations, you have to go through with it. That's the thing. Otherwise, if you don't, you're completely lost. You've lost all credibility completely, and Trump knows that. So that's the reason Mexico and China didn't want to cooperate. So he's going to go through with the tariffs. So. But fascinating talking to Jeff, but he's absolutely right. It's like there's so much stuff going on here that's just so just beyond the pale regarding the budget and the money, our taxes, and I mean, what's going to happen here is going to be amazing. Okay, so Friday, our next show is Friday night, our 200th show. I do hope you show up. I do hope you call in. You didn't call in tonight? And we got people, maybe some guests calling in and stuff like that. It should be fun. So that's this coming Friday, 9 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to be live. And that's our show for this evening. I want to thank you folks for watching. I want to thank Jeff MEYER for being here. Always a pleasure, always entertaining. I'm Jim Peters. This is Jim Peters at night. Good night, Esperanza. Good night, Uncle Donnie. And good night to you, wherever you are. We'll see you on Friday night, everybody. 2 on the show. Show up. Take care. Have a nice tomorrow.